What is up, everybody? Welcome here. Sunday. I don't know if we've ever been. This is a happy hour. This is literally like the opposite of happy hour. It is 11 a.m. on the East Coast. So I guess you guys are a little bit awake. 10
Yeah.
a.m. here in Chicago, bright and early Sunday morning. But if you were like Dunny and I, y'all were up late scrolling the timeline, and then all of a sudden, one of the biggest trades in NBA history dropped on there, and everybody thought it was fake. That was the funniest part of this. People were like, "Did Shams get hacked, bro? Like, what happened?" And he had to put a clarifying tweet. He's like, "Yes, this is real." Luka got traded to the Lakers, and Anthony Davis is on his way to the Mavs. There's other pieces involved, but Dunny, just that alone, never would have imagined saying that in our lives, literally ever. Like, this is shocking.
Right. This is a guy, starting with Luka here, a guy you think of as untouchable. I mean, the last few years, aside from this year and the injury troubles, like we're talking about a guy who's best player in the league potentially. Him and Jokic, 1A, 1B. I think Jokic kind of took that one spot this year, but I mean, just a guy you envision is not a guy the Mavs will ever move. Um, Obviously, we just spoke with Steve, our third co-host here on Happy Hour Hoops. He's tuned
He
in
would
right
be
now.
here if he could.
Yeah, he's on his way to NOLA for media week of the Super Bowl. So we're feeling for Steve right now. He sent us just his thoughts over text, and basically, Luca made him a Mavs fan. He was a guy who loved the NBA, didn't really have he didn't have loyalty to one team. Luka made the Mavericks that team for Steve, and then they go and make kind of just a boneheaded move, in my opinion. Like, I still don't really understand it from the Dallas side. Everyone can
All right,
say,
well, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, like, yes, AD is on his way there, but just when you factor in the age, the type of player Luka is, all that stuff, it's hard to make sense of any of this, and that was my thought originally. That's kind of still my thought now. The craziness of the trade, I love it, and I mean, this is why I love this league so much. I thought the deadline would be, like years past, and
Yeah, right.
we'd have a few big trades at the deadline. I'd never envisioned, the biggest trade in NBA history a week before the deadline.
We're talking on Thursday. We're like, man, De'Aaron Fox get traded to the Spurs would be sick. Like maybe Jimmy Butler. Nobody really wants him, but he's probably gonna get moved somewhere, so that'll be fun. And then literally one of the top, honestly, two of the top 10 to 15 players in the league getting traded for each other. Like it's something that we don't see. Maybe we'll start seeing it more often because these salaries, like they have to be swapped perfectly now for NBA trades. So that's the only way this kind of trade could work for the Lakers is giving up somebody like AD. The Doncic side of this is the most interesting side, and it's the side I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
talk about because it makes absolutely no sense. Isaiah chiming in. I think Reeves. I think everything's on the table for the Lakers at this point because all right. So the Lakers side is interesting too. So we'll talk about them in a second. But for the Mavericks, there's just a lot more. Like I feel like I understand why the Lakers did this. The Mavs, we don't
Yeah.
have enough answers here why they did this. So Nico Harrison, the GM, in articles to the Athletic and to ESPN, said that the move was emphasizing a strategic shift towards the team's defense. Said, I believe defense wins championships, and that Doncic facing his criticism with his conditioning and his obviously he's not a defensive mastermind, and we know how good Anthony Davis is defensively. So just from that alone, kind of makes some basketball sense. Like, okay,
Yes.
Luka doesn't play defense. We get that. Now let's get into what the potential issues were with the organization because something has to break down really bad in a relationship. If you are a guy who is an MVP favorite and leads your team to the NBA, this team went to the NBA finals last year.
Yeah.
That's the most baffling thing apart
With
of
an
this.
improved
And
roster now.
better roster. The only issue they've had this year is Luka's injury. Otherwise,
Right.
they'd be a top 3 team in the West. And then they say February 2nd, 4 days before the trade deadline or whatever it is, we're good on this championship level team. We're gonna go a different route. Something had to have happened with Luka this year that the relationship broke down. Whether it's true, the report that he's 270 pounds right now, which I think is a lie. I think
I
think
think it's
this
a
is the
lot too.
Mavs throwing dirt on him on the way out, kicking him on the door on the way out type of deal,
Also,
saying that he can't get into shape. Go ahead.
Yeah, just in case we don't bring up the out of shape and physical shape and his weight, and in case we don't touch on that again, instead of trading the guy that may be 270 pounds, how about you fucking trade everyone in your athletic training group, the trainers on staff, you pay for a fucking new gym setup, whatever you have to
Yeah.
do to get this guy in better shape. You bring in a new strength and conditioning coach. You don't trade one of the fucking best assets in the entire league because a guy's 270. Even if all of that is true, you do everything you can. You break out all the stops to get this guy in shape, or basically cater to him to make sure he gets in shape before you trade him for basically 30 cents on the dollar.
Yeah, and
But
that makes a lot
continue.
of sense. But we've seen that it's a great point, but we've seen that, and we've seen this play out now in two extreme scenarios. Zion Williamson is the other guy who has not been able to get into shape. The Pelicans have done everything they can. They've got a new strength and conditioning team, all this stuff, and it seems Zion just doesn't care about it. Is Luka that kind of guy? It seems like Luka. I mean, this is the thing. These guys, Luka already is going to make. He's not getting the supermax now because he's with a new team. But
Yep.
his next contract, the Lakers are going to give him $300 million.
Yep.
That is going to happen, whether he's 270, 300 pounds. It doesn't matter. He's getting that contract this summer. And that's a big part of what this comes down to, too, is the Mavs apparently at some point over the last 6 months were like, we're not giving him a supermax in the summer. We can't trust him. And I think that's as much of it as anything else, too. Now, how you can't trust this guy who is – I mean, Luka is legitimately one of the most talented players we've ever seen play basketball.
Ever.
I don't think that that's a crazy thing to say. Now, Anthony Davis, when he was coming out, was prodigized as well as one of the best big men, and he has delivered through that. And the Mavs part of this, the Mavs are still a contender in the West without Luka. They've been treading water, doing fine with Luka out. Kyrie's been awesome. Now you pair Kyrie and AD. That might be like the pairings that were made out of this between Luka and LeBron and Kyrie and AD are just awesome. But this is a guy who is a singular talent. Like we thought, like could change the league, like could be a multi-time MVP, like everything. This is a guy you never like. We still make fun of the Hawks for trading that pick, even that Trae Young's an all. Trae Young's great, and we're like, damn, Luka, like you missed out on him though. So to just give him up, something horrible had to happen. And there's that funny video. It's not funny now anymore for Mavs fans, but he's celebrating and he's got the beer in his hand, and the guy comes over and just like takes the beer out of him. I wonder if that's a microcosm of this. I wonder if Luka just doesn't take this shit seriously, and the Mavs got tired of it. And that's no shade to Luka. He's 25 years old. He's been literally a basketball phenom since he was 16 years old. He's one of the richest people in the country. These things happen to people. Like not every guy handles fame, money, success well. And Luka does seem like a guy who might be struggling with that. Now, the funny part of that is, okay, buddy, get your ass in shape for the Los Angeles Lakers is the funniest possible. This could go amazing. The Lakers could have just finessed and found their next superstar to carry them through another age of 15 years. Or this is going to go like the Dwight Howard route, and Luka is going to just like completely combust on this team and not give a fuck. I have no idea what to expect from Luka. He's like now, whatever comes out of this feels like Luka is going to be considered one of the most erratic superstars in the league, because there's no way it wasn't something that he did as a detriment to the team for the Mavs to get them to this point. I'm not saying he's completely at fault, but they think he's at fault for something. There's no other way you make this move.
Yeah, and like I understand all that, and I do think Mavs are still a contender, and they could say they wanted to beef up the defense. Defense wins championships. I think I think Kyrie and AD are going to be awesome. I just don't understand. Like it's not like if you don't make this trade before the deadline, you lose out on Luka or having him as a trade piece. Like he's still under contract for another year. How are they not shopping him? Like we saw what Rudy Gobert got traded for. We saw what Mikal Bridges got traded for this summer. How do you not shop? Like if AD was shocked by this, if LeBron was shocked by this, if Luka was shocked by this, that means this didn't get out really, other than the conversations between the front office of the Lakers and the Mavs. How was he not?
And apparently the Mavs offered Luka to the Lakers. That is apparently how the conversation started, which is not an unimportant note to mention. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, I just don't understand, because I don't care what anyone tells me. Like the Mavericks could have gotten not just more for Luka Doncic, much, much more than what they received. And I'm not saying Anthony Davis isn't nothing because I agree with you. Like the Mavs are still going to be good this year. It's also the a weird wrinkle of this, and small compared to all the other stuff going on. But both these players are injured right now. So
Yeah.
Luka, we still don't have a real timetable on when he's supposed to return. Davis is getting evaluated or reevaluated in the coming days here because it's almost been close to a week since he first suffered this injury. But that's also part of it. Like, who knows? This AD injury could linger, and then you're stuck with a team that's Kyrie, Klay Thompson, who they just went out and signed this summer, which isn't
Yep.
nothing because you make your team older there. Then you bring in a 31-year-old Davis. Kyrie's 32. It's just strange. I really think they could have done more. If you're getting off Luka, you need to have a very good young player in return or just all the picks. And they didn't do either. Max Christie, whatever, but they didn't do either. Like Reeves should have been involved, or I think you got to go to a different team if
It
I'm the
looks like a
Mavs.
2K trade, like the way that you get that done. It looks like you would press like Trade Finder for Luka Doncic and be like, "Oh, Lakers are offering 80. He's at 89 overall. Max Christie's a 76, and with that
Yep, the
first round
money
pick, sure."
works.
Like
Yeah,
that's what it looks like. That's the thing is like the Mavs targeting the Lakers, offering Luka to him. It feels like the Mavs were like they probably got like a little whiteboard out where like who would we accept a trade for Luka with, and AD was one of those names because of the defensive thing that Nico Harrison mentioned, and that was probably maybe the first team they called. And we're like, hey, maybe just testing the waters. What would it take Luka for AD? Now the Lakers side, let's talk about them a little bit because we've talked a lot about the Mavs here, and
yeah.
I think we won't be able to know. We're gonna need more stories. We're gonna need Luka's expose with whatever reporter he does to kind of talk about this to get what happened. There's gonna be more story. I'm sure Monday morning tomorrow there is some big athletics or ESPN story that comes out that explains the behind the scenes of this trade a little bit. Start the week off with the news cycle, get it going. I'm sure that we're gonna have a lot of anecdotes coming up that we'll be able to talk about on the show this week. Of course, Steve, man, Steve's lucky at the very least because he is in New Orleans. He's going to be doing Super Bowl stuff for David Adams all week. He does not have to talk Luka at all. We'll get his fresh thoughts in a couple weeks after. Maybe Luka played for the Lakers by then. Who knows? But for the Lakers side of this thing, it's clear to me what they're doing here. And it's honestly for the Lakers, this is one of the shrewdest, smartest moves I've ever seen from them pull off. Now, will it work out? It all depends if Luka, that's why I'm saying Luka is such an anomaly at this point, and we don't know that it could burn up in their faces where he's just a star that's never going to be able to figure it out to get to his full potential. He's going to piss the Lakers fans off, whatever. There's that path. The other path here is they said, listen, Bron, we know you're 40. This team ain't winning the title. We need a plan for after you. And we always talked about the biggest chess piece they have for the LeBron, like the Lakers are in good shape because once LeBron decides to leave, AD is going to get traded. Like they have a good piece to go get picks or whatever else we thought it would be. But the worry with that was if you wait long enough, AD is going to get older. Is his value going to be down that you don't have to do it? So the Lakers said they saw this opportunity. They're like, well, we get a guy who's 5 years, 6 years younger. We can sign him to a super max next year. So he's under control for like 6 years if we really want him to be. LeBron probably is going to get pissed off at us and leave because of this, because he loves Anthony Davis. So if we can weather the storm of LeBron, and the thing is, it's not a hard sell for LeBron right now either. Like he's mad about AD. That's like they're obviously really close and everything, but LeBron loves Luka Doncic. Like LeBron thinks
how many
Luka
times have we
is.
heard LeBron gush about this guy
Yeah.
and how similar their games are, and Luka the same way, saying LeBron was his favorite player growing up. Obviously, the similarities are there. A guy who can control the rock, and LeBron doesn't have to do as much of that anymore. Whether he wants to or not, that's just the reality of the situation. The Lakers might not want that. So yeah, it's crazy, man. Like
you'd think that LeBron, like the thing with LeBron too, is if they can get him wrapped up into it, because now the Lakers, they didn't give up a lot of their assets. Like Miles Turner, Jonas Valanciunas, one of those centers is 100% on the table now. Now they need a big. Now they need some defensive help because Luka and LeBron ain't helping defensively. Isaiah mentioned Reeves. Reeves ain't helping defensively. Like this team has a big defensive issue. They're their defensive identity was we have Anthony Davis and you don't. So they need to address that. But offensively now, if there's two guys who could figure it out as quickly as possible and figure out how to both be effective and play off each other, it's Luka and LeBron if they're going. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to be an efficient basketball team. And if you surround those guys with shooters, if it's just a team of Luka, LeBron, and JJ Redick-esque shooters where he just wants guys around them, they're not going to win every game, but they're going to be tough to beat. Especially on nights where they got it going offensively. I feel like the Lakers' identity just changed completely from a team that wants to be known for defense and hard-nosed basketball, where they're going to be flying up and down the court shooting like 73s a game now with Luka and LeBron. I really think that's the answer to this, because they're not going to be able to play defense. So you got to score. But for the big picture thing, if LeBron buys in and isn't too pissed about AD, you now have your next superstar for the next 15 years, and you have LeBron James to mentor him for 2 years in the ways of LA and everything, and kind of build that relationship. And then maybe who knows what goes on beyond that. But I think for the Lakers, it's a tough pill to swallow, because Laker fans love AD, obviously winning a title with them, all the memories they have with him. They've grown to respect him. I've seen a lot of people saying, like, raise his banner up, everything. So they love Anthony Davis.
Yep.
But this trade is a win for the next 15 years, because the hope was bleak for the Lakers with just LeBron. Now you see the path. Now it's okay. We got LeBron, then we got Luka. Let's build around him. That's awesome. Like, if you're a Lakers fan, this is a win.
Yeah, if you're actually a diehard Lakers fan and you're not just in it for the LeBron AD generation of the Lakers, then you have to recognize that this is the right move. And the fact that you said, like, it was reported that Dallas reached out to LA, it was just a no-brainer. Like, you take this chance, especially, I mean, like, you laid this out too. Like, AD, they probably didn't think that LeBron was going to be around this long. And the longer they wait for LeBron to, move on, and then they can use AD as a trade chip, he was just losing more and more value. For them to get the call and be like, hey, you guys can have Luka Doncic. All we want is AD in a first. You don't have to give up Reeves. LeBron is staying put for now. You have Luka and LeBron. You do that 10 times out of 10. So, yeah, Lakers fans, if they're upset at all about the AD thing, I get that. But you have to recognize, I mean, this gives you one of the brightest futures in the NBA, when earlier this season it looked like you may not have one, and there was probably some dark years coming.
Yeah, well said, man. It is crazy. This is just insane, and it really feels like the Mavs decided this, like, collectively on their own, that they needed to make a move of Luka, and Nico Harrison and the Mavericks and this new ownership group will be defined by this move no matter what happens, because you made the finals last year and now you just got rid of your best guy. And I understand, like, this quote is crazy, man. This is the exact quote from the article from Nico Harrison. Let me find this here. I believe defense wins championships. I believe getting all defensive center and all NBA player with a defensive mindset gives us a better chance. We're built to win now and in the future. That's just a straight shot at Luka's effort. And then the McMenamin report that the Mavs were worried about his conditioning and his loop and wary of committing to a supermax extension. Like, they're trashing this dude on the way out. Like, this was a team that gave everything to Luka. Like, Dirk loving on him, Mark Cuban loving on him. Like, this Luka was Dallas. Like, Luka was the singular. Besides, like, the Cowboys as the brand, it was like the Cowboys and then Luka. Like, that's what we thought of for Dallas sports. And now they're just like, this guy's fat, can't play defense, get him out of here. Like, bro, you made the finals last year. And so, like, that's what I mean. Like, something crazy has had to have happened with Luka in the last 8 months since the finals ended and since they came back from the summer. Something switched with this team where maybe he just didn't care. Maybe he's like, I did what I could. Like, I'm going to just chill, whatever. I don't know. I'm very interested to see what the reporting is around it, because something had to have flipped in that room for you to let that guy carry you to the finals and then get rid of him in 6 months is nuts. So I don't know how it happens like that, but there's got to be a good story behind it.
Something that's, also a small wrinkle, kind of much like both these guys being injured, but it's still a factor here. Kyrie Irving was happy for the first time in however many years.
Dangerous, dangerous move by Nico Harrison right now, trusting
Like
Kyrie. Kyrie's the leader of this franchise now.
Very clearly getting along with Luka, happy the whole way to the finals. Of course, I'm sure he's going to be excited to play with AD. That doesn't mean it's going to work out and be sunshine and rainbows here for Kyrie, especially because he was already, doing all the work like you mentioned. Like he's keeping this team afloat and he's just waiting for his guy Luka to come back. Now, he's never coming back. It's Anthony Davis, it's Klay Thompson, it's Kyrie Irving. Who knows with Lively, a 7-footer with the foot injury, who's still going to be out for a few months here. Like, both these teams, too, like, in my opinion, aren't done. Like, I could see both these teams making a significant move before the deadline here. I think more so on the Lakers side, but if you're the Mavs, you probably have to think about that, too.
Yeah.
And I don't know, do you move on from Klay so soon because there might be a team out there who's looking to add shooting and you could get a little younger because if I'm a Mavs fan, that's what I'm worried about. I just feel like if you trade Luka, you have to get younger in some way, whether it's through the draft or a really really good young asset. Whether I'm
Max
just
Christie.
so shocked.
Come on.
Yeah. I mean, Christie's good, but it's just not enough.
Christie's the lineup that they could do, theoretically they could do Kyrie, you got Klay, you got AD, you got PJ, and then you could put Christie in there. There's a lot of guys you can mix in there with that group of 4. It's not a bad group. It's not on paper, it looks like I see what they're thinking, but yeah, it's the thing about winning in the future with the Klay deal, with AD, who's always had injury issues coming on the wrong side of 30, with an older Kyrie, all of a sudden the clock is ticking on this team from a team that we thought was built to sustain into the future the way they were last year. They were one of the youngest teams last year. Like the moves that they made to get PJ, to get Gap, these are all young guys they were building around Luka. Like that's the thing. Something switched up completely for the way this team was building. Like everything changed. So I don't know, man. Luke, I don't know. This tweet: Lakers traded Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and Josh Hart for a championship and Luka Doncic. That's fucking that's a good trade. Solid, one of the best trades in NBA history, right there. You got Anthony Davis in there. It made LeBron happy. You won a title, and then it resulted in you getting your next superstar. Literally can't ask for all the shit we give Rob Pelinka. The man has worked wonders for this Lakers roster the last 6 years. For them to even still be relevant this year, and now this is one of the best moves in NBA history for the Lakers. I think it's the risk reward of this is, and maybe it blows up in their face because Luka's just. I'm assuming Luka is just going to turn into this diva, and I don't want to do that because who knows? Maybe this wakes him up and turns him into the guy he's always supposed to be. But it's just so baffling that this happens. So that's the risk. That's the only risk, but other than that, it's a clean win for the Lakers who just keep winning with these moves. For some reason, these teams keep trading with the Lakers and helping them out. The Finney Smith thing early in the year was a very minor version of this. Okay, Finney Smith, they wanted 2 firsts for him, and somehow the Lakers are able to get rid of Russell, get this guy in here. It all worked out for the Lakers. It's a great move. And now here we are again, a couple months later, and the Lakers have 2 of the top 10 best players, 15 best players again in basketball. One of the best scorers, an MVP candidate who just got offered to them. It was hey, you guys want Luka? They're yeah, we would love Luka Doncic, sure.
Yeah, it's just so interesting, man. And you're right. You got to tip your hat to the Lakers front office because it always seems like when it's about to be the darkest, they pull off a move like this, and that's exactly what they did. Who knew what the Lakers' future was going to look like? And instead, they go, oh, well, actually, we're going to bring in one of the best players in the world, and he just happens to be 25 years old. And I actually think, it's fine to speculate that maybe this just kills Luka's confidence, but I think it's going to be the complete other way around. This is a dude who I don't think you want to piss off. We've seen it in regular season games. We've seen it in playoff games. He is capable of having a fire lit under his ass, and this is one of the bigger middle fingers you can give a player approaching his prime, and he's going to one of the probably the most popular franchise ever. I can say the Boston Celtics are the winningest, but you can't deny the awe that is the Los Angeles Lakers. And he's going there at 25 years old. And if you think about it, like even if it doesn't work out how they hoped, because I assume they'll sign Luka to 3-4 years with crazy money, like you mentioned, like he's gonna get $300 million. Even if
Yeah.
those 3-4 years go by and they're not happy, someone will take a chance on Luka again at 28, 29 years old.
Yeah, 29-year-old Luka. Yeah, if he's
Yeah,
still putting
why
up any numbers,
why
100%.
wouldn't they? So it's basically they not the exact same situation, but they have a trade chip again, like they had with AD. And if that is the case and they want to move on from him, someone will take another shot, and you could do that. And the other thing is, you are the Los Angeles Lakers, and I would assume if LeBron talks about a guy like Luka this highly, and said he would love to play with him in the past, and there's all this stuff at All-Star Weekend a couple of years ago, other players in the league are going to want to play with Luka too. So when LeBron moves on, it's Los Angeles. It's a chance to play alongside Luka Doncic. Like the Lakers are set up beautifully here. And the biggest thing for me is just like what do they do for the rest of the season? Because if Luka comes back on the timeline he was supposed to, you have LeBron James. The bottom half of the Western Conference playoff outlook is wide open. Like
They got to get a center. They got to go
yeah.
get Miles Turner or Valanciunas or one of these guys,
I
and
was
then
seeing
complete
Rob
that starting
Williams
lineup.
on a really cheap deal. Like
Rob Williams would be awesome.
is
Yeah.
And then do they trade Reeves? Do they make another move? I don't know. I mean, you
I
probably want
think
to
you
keep
kind of have.
Reeves.
I kind of Reeves like if they have those three guys out there defensively, it's a wrap. Like
It's
they're
tough,
gonna
yeah.
get cooked. So you might need to trade Reeves for like like a Wiggins type or something like that. Even if now here's the thing. Let's talk about LeBron quick, because if LeBron hates this, is LeBron just gonna ask for a trade somewhere? Like there's a very big possibility that LeBron is so mad about this that he wants to go to like Golden State or something. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility in the next 5 days.
I know I asked you before we started recording if you had listened to Simmons and Russillo's emergency pod. Bill Simmons said the same thing. He said, "This, are we about to see Bron move to Golden State?"
Like we don't know how LeBron. We have not. All we saw was LeBron's tweet last night saying about like defending Anthony Davis, basically that he didn't know anything, or someone said that he orchestrated the deal, and he's like, "Fuck that, no, I didn't." Or whatever. I can't remember exactly what the tweet was, but that's his only comment on it. He's clearly not happy about this. We know how much he loves Anthony Davis. So it's going to be interesting to see how the LeBron, like, that's what I mean. Like all these sides are taking Sunday today, whether it be LeBron, whether it be the Lucas camp, whether it be the Mavs, whether it be the Lakers, they're all preparing with their own, state journalists that they work with, their own story and version of how this went down. Yeah, CBS Sports. LeBron had grown frustrated with Anthony Davis, and he quoted it and said, "You a fucking lie," with a clown emoji and a Pinocchio emoji. So clearly he was not angry with AD at all. So that's the interesting thing about from the LeBron perspective. Russillo tweeted last night before that pod. He heard from multiple teams they had no idea Luka was available.
Right. Yeah, he was.
So this is like it's like the Pau Gasol trade all over again. That was the story with Pau Gasol, is that the Grizzlies just offered him to the Lakers. They took it. No one else heard about it. They're like, we would have done this. Here's the thing, though. If Nico Harrison, former Nike exec, has all these relationships, that's the reason he has this job. Nico Harrison, I feel like, didn't want a bidding war. He wanted Anthony Davis. That's what I think this trade comes down to, is the Mavs were like, we know the team we want to build. There's like 3 guys in the league that we could trade for to do this. Anthony Davis is one of them. Because who else, like the way that he described it, an all team defensive player, center who can do that. It's like AD, Wemby, Gobert. Like those are like the names that we're talking about of guys that you can like, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. So it's a singular guy they wanted. I understand not getting a bidding war, but Luka wasn't going to, they clearly think they clearly still want to win now. Luka wasn't going to get traded for like 6 first-round picks. Like that wasn't the idea for Dallas. The idea for Dallas in this move was, we want to win now. This guy is an issue though. Like that's like, if I'm looking at it with the information we have now, that's what I think Dallas did. Is it smart? Are they going to look stupid in the next 10 years? Maybe, but maybe this dude really just burned it all down in this whole year. And we're going to find out about it. Like, because to make this decision, you have like I keep coming back to this, but something crazy had to have happened in the last 9 months to get to the point where you make the finals and then trade this guy. Like, that's insane. That is absurd.
Yeah. And
Imagine
it,
if 2 years ago the Celtics traded Tatum after they lost to the Warriors. Like, they got to the finals and then they were like, we can't get it with this group. Jason Tatum is going to get traded for Rudy Gobert or whatever else, whoever the equivalent at that point. You would have lost your mind. You
yeah.
went fucking crazy.
And that's what I mean. I think Mavs fans, like, they have every reason to be super upset, boycott watching fucking games for the foreseeable future. But that is the tough part, is like, you're going to be competitive. So if you're a diehard on either side of this, like, short term Mavericks fans, like, you still have to be happy because this means your ownership thinks you're still capable of winning a championship. And whether that's naive thinking or not, I don't know, because it's tough. We just have to see how it plays out with Kyrie and AD. But this is a group with an improved roster who already made it to the finals last year. You bring in AD, obviously you take out Luka, but the West, those top three seeds, OKC, Houston, and Memphis, like, and then you have Denver lurking. Who knows with fucking LA now, because they're probably still gonna make a move. Like, is it not naive to think that they still have not an easy shot at making it to the finals, but like a good chance at making it to the finals? That might be a bad line of thinking, but I don't know. It's just so strange. Lakers fans, obviously, you have to be happy because the Lakers aren't going to let Luka walk. They're going to give him whatever he wants when his contract's up and he's eligible. So, like, you have to be excited about the future. The immediate future, like, within the next week, no telling what's going to happen from this. And, like, silly to bring up, but, like, are either of these teams back in on the Jimmy Butler sweepstakes now? Like, could we see Jimmy Butler head to LA? Like, I don't know if there's a way they can make that money work, but, like,
probably
maybe.
Reeves, but I mean, I could see that. LeBron, I mean, that's the defensive help they would need, if anything. This week just got crazy. This week just got so much more interesting than it was leading into it. The Mavs could be a Jimmy player now for sure. I think. I think that you'd have to think about the Mavs in there as a team who would be interested in that. Are the Lakers a Fox player?
Yeah.
Are the Lakers a team that's going to look at Fox and then say, listen, we'll just put Fox and Luka together. LeBron can play a big. We'll go get another. Like, I don't know. Like, this, I don't know. This is absurd. This is the world shattering NBA trade. Any other thoughts before we go here, Dunny? Before we go on about our Sundays, but we had to get this on here because, man, this is. Hold on. There's actually. Oh no, this is from 9 hours ago. Never mind. Yeah.
Yeah. No, nothing else really. I'm just like, I cannot wait. I cannot wait until these guys are back on the floor and able to play. That's the thing now, is like, everyone's just going to be itching for these guys to get healthy and see what it looks like. There's no fucking way Luka Doncic is 270 pounds, bro.
Zero chance, man. He's not a defensive tackle in the NFL. Like, he might be like 250 though. He might be a big boy. I could see it, but there's no way he's 270. That's crazy. That's Zion. Like, he's not looking like Zion right now.
I gotta see Luka in the Lakers gold, and AD and Kyrie. It's gonna be interesting, man. I think the Mavs play today, don't they?
They played the Cleveland Cavaliers today
at 3:30. Obviously, no AD, but
yeah. Apparently, Nico Harrison told the Basketball News, him and Rob Pelinka have basketball conversations starting a month ago. Then all of a sudden, we're like, would we ever do this? Nah, you're joking, right? Interesting. Maybe I would. And then it just built over time over the last 3 weeks. So Pelinka, shout out Rob Pelinka, the biggest winner. Finesse God. He saw that and was like, yeah, this would be a good idea, whatever. And the AD part, I get it. It's probably tough, but man, shout out the Lakers.
Especially because it's what we talked about, right? Like, LeBron, there's so much video evidence of LeBron gushing about Luka. We've already brought that up, but maybe that's the ace up Lakers ownership sleeve, where they're like, oh, we know you're mad about AD, but like, look at who we got for you, and all these times that you said how good Luka was and how much you wanted to play with him and how similar your guys' game was. Like that's the guy we got in return. So you can't be that mad at us. I don't know. It's so fucking crazy, man. Yeah, I think that's it. Now we just wait. We just wait. My favorite quote is, "My guess he probably doesn't want to talk to me." Yeah, that's a pretty fair assumption.
I would imagine so. Now
Nico
Nico did
Harrison
he
talking
did the
about
whole
Luka.
press run last night celebrating this. Like he knows that he's defined by this. So I mean, he must feel good that Luka did something to this team. I can't wait to see what the Mavs have to say
And
about
who
this.
knows?
It's going to be really interesting.
Maybe they do know something that we don't, and Luka is much more injured than it seems. And this is, he gets reevaluated, and it's a much longer injury. I don't know.
Injured or degenerate. That's the only two potential options that make this trade make sense. Is if he's a degenerate or he's really injured.
Now we can't wait until the deadline, and we can't wait just to see either of these guys playing for their new team, because it's going to be cinema regardless of how you look at it.
And we'll be back on Thursday to talk. I'm sure this will be the main topic on the show. We'll have a lot more information to get into. It'll be Dunny and I. So tune in then. But Dunny, let's go have a Sunday. What a day! What a trade! The NBA. This league never sleeps. Saturday night. In between the Super Bowl, no Super Bowl. The NBA is so smart, man. I don't know how they pull this off. This trade getting done, it's Super Bowl or the week before Super Bowl Sunday. We're not even thinking about football. We're just talking about the Lakers and the Mavericks. Well done. This is what the NBA does better than anybody else. So, great night. We'll see. Shout out Steve. It's going to be a long week, but enjoy that time in New Orleans. We'll get you a Luka Lakers jersey ready for you when you come back. All good stuff. But all right, Dunny, let's get out of here. Have a great Sunday, folks. See you later.